Hey Ryan, don't you love picking apples?
Oh, I do. And we have a pick for you, a new episode of Garden Time. Welcome to Garden Time. We're out at Jan McNeelan's yard, and don't tell her, but we're sneaking a few apples off her tree.
And if you don't have fruits and vegetables in your yard, make sure you're checking out your local farmers markets.
Speaking of Jan, later in the show we'll be talking to Jan about her tips of the month.
We'll also be telling you about fire-resistant plants.
But coming up first, some great plants for your pond. I'm out here at Hughes Water Gardens. I'm with Eamon. And Eamon, the lilies are blooming.
It's that time of year, they come in. We've gone through our spring flowering stuff, and now we're in the height of summer, so there's so many options for people for their ponds.
Right. And we're in the lily house in here. So what lilies do we have in here that are blooming right
Well,
now?
the ones on this side are all lotus, and these can be grown here. They're hardy even as far as Chicago.
Okay.
But you have to do a little thing to keep the pot warm for them. You can grow them really well in a pot on a patio here, but they give a spectacular show for you all summer,
And then you also have the regular water lilies, but then there's some really cool lilies over there.
Yeah, these are the tropical lilies, so they would have to be treated more as an annual, but the colors are magnificent, both in the leaves and in the flowers and fragrance. And you can put these out probably by mid-July,
Okay.
and they'll last through end of September for you.
Right.
So it's a reasonable investment for the value you get from these.
But
lilies.
it's so showy.
It's so showy, yeah.
And then the big showstopper is the Victoria
The
lily.
Victorias, they're amazing. I mean, the leaves get up to be 7 feet across eventually, and the blooms are about 13 inches. Smells like a pineapple.
Oh, wow.
So people should come by, over the next month or so and just enjoy seeing these. The leaves are so strong that you can have a child sit on them. So it's
Wow,
amazing.
that's pretty
yeah.
unbelievable.
It is unbelievable, yeah.
And then you have a whole bunch of other great things that are blooming right now for the pond. So let's go take a look and see what else we can find.
Okay, great.
So Eamon, there's, aside from the lilies, there's so much more color that you can add to a pond. And it looks like you got some of your favorites out here for, some summertime bloomers.
Yeah, these bloom all summer very strongly. We have a canna here, the sapphire canna that grows in water. There's a whole range of cannas that will tolerate water inundation all summer. And they just bloom and bloom and bloom and just bring so much brightness to your garden. And then if you like something in a blue tone, this is the little bluebell. It's Roelia. It really grows very, very well. Flowers continuously all summer. You can see all the buds on it here coming out.
I like the lacy foliage.
It is
it's kind of a nice contrast.
It's a nice contrast in there just for texture. And then in the front here we have one called yerba yerba, which is an unusual white flower, and it flowers continuously from June through October. Creeps out a little into the pond, but it's a really pretty white flower.
And then what's this cool one with the kind of the arrow shape?
Well, it's called the arrowhead. It's a Sagittaria, and it comes as a single flower, or this one is a double flower. It's a beautiful little, like a little rose or a peony there. So that's beautiful
pretty
on the edge of the pond. And then in the foreground of the pond, it's always nice to have a lower layer just going out into it. And this is one of my favorite, water sprite. It has this beautiful little pinky purple flower, and it pretty well covers in flower most of the summer.
It looks like a really nice kind of fill-in to get.
Yeah, it's a good fill-in on that.
And then you got a couple others down here then.
This is my favorite of all. This is purple pickerel, and this flowers again from even earlier, probably May. This will come out right through October.
Oh, wow.
And the bees love it. This will just be covered in bumblebees. They absolutely adore this plant. This particular variety is a tall variety,
Okay.
but there's a few shorter varieties for smaller ponds, so you don't have to go just with the tall specimen. But if you have room, this is spectacular.
Yeah,
just
we saw it
rising
over in
out
the
of your
display
pond.
garden over there. And
Yeah,
it is stunning.
it's really pretty.
And then another guy there, that little variegated.
That one you're familiar with. This is Society garlic. Again, you've got the beautiful variegated foliage, and then the pretty flower on top. So that works well.
And then the two, the big flowering showstoppers.
Again, if you want something that's really tall at the back, and these fill out into quite large bushes, a number of these hibiscus are wonderful in water.
And you can't beat those big blooms.
And they just bloom for a day, but there's always more blooms coming on every day after day.
And those are, the plants that you're showing up here are all hardy?
These are all hardy, will go in around the pond, and if you don't have a pond, you can still grow a lot of water plants in bowls.
Okay.
We just put together a small bowl down here, which had a little bit of the water sprite in it, a hydrocotyle, and a hyacinth, a water hyacinth.
So there are a number of things that, if you want to attain that same kind of look on the
Yeah.
patio,
Yeah.
do it in a big container.
You can do it in a patio. You don't even have to have a fountain or anything, just a water bowl, and it takes care of itself. Just fill it up once every couple of weeks and you'll be fine.
Yeah. And it's okay to leave some of this stuff out in the wintertime, or do you need to change it out?
The bowls, you probably have to protect them a little. The other stuff is all hardy, so it'll die down. Many of them will die down for the winter.
Okay.
So you'll trim off the old foliage and then they'll just emerge the next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Eamon, the gardens are looking great.
Yeah.
The ponds are in bloom, the lilies are blooming, and there's just so much color that you can add to your garden right now with the pond. So make sure you come down and see Eamon and his staff down here at Hughes Water Gardens. You can come down, visit the gardens, walk around, get some inspiration. You can go to your website, or you can go to gardentime.tv and we'll click you over. So Eamon, it's been a pleasure to be down here.
Thanks very much.
The gardens are looking great.
Thank you. Take care.
I am in a field with sunflowers, and I am at the neighborhood church with Pastor Paul Owen, and this is just an amazing place. What a beautiful garden you all created.
Yeah, it's awesome. We love it. I think we have about 12 acres where people can walk where the sunflowers are, but 3 acres of sunflowers planted.
And then why did you do this? I know it's gorgeous. We see it on the highway here at the Stafford exit on 205, but why did you guys do this?
Well, it's really our church's response to the pandemic. We are just thinking, how do people have something where they can feel normal, they can have a smile on their faces, where families feel comfortable getting outside and they feel safe. So it was just an idea to really connect people with each other post or even towards the tail end of COVID.
But it is a fundraiser too, so tell us just a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we as a church have been doing a ministry for special needs children, and we have a space dedicated on our property where we'd like to put an accessible playground, so for children with all skill levels. And we're raising funds through this Sunflower Festival for that, and people are paying admission to come and buying flowers and making donations and being quite generous.
Oh, that is wonderful. And it is a family-friendly event, and bring your camera. And I know we can walk around, but we have to see the statistics for a garden show. So how many different varieties do you have here?
Yeah, well, we have 27 varieties of plants. We have some traditional black oil. We have what are called pro cuts, which you would find in a florist. And then we have branching stem flowers, and they're beautiful. Rogue Royale is a deep red flower, almost brown, and that's one of the favorites that people have, and so we really enjoy it. Yeah.
It's just a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we're all going to have our favorites, because there's some that are like 10 feet tall,
Yeah.
and then there's some really tiny ones. So really there's the whole gamut of sunflowers.
Yeah, the tallest sunflower that we have on property is called Kong, and it's 16 feet tall, and it'll have 30 or 40 blooms on it at full maturity.
Wow, wow. And so tell us how to get here and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, so we're here Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the first 3 weekends in August, and we're just off of Interstate 205, Exit 3, Stafford Road. You just turn on Stafford Road, head south, and get on Eck Road. That pulls right onto the church property.
Yeah, and you can't miss it. Just look for all these sunflowers, and that make us all smile.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And so we can just go to the website and find out more information?
Yeah, you can go to theneighborhoodchurch.org, and there's information there, or you can search on Facebook the Stafford Road Sunflower Festival, and all the times and information, even people sharing their photos, is happening there.
Well, what a great event, and it has a great cause too. So bring your family and friends and come out this weekend, because it's going to be the best. Thanks so much, Pastor.
Yeah, thanks for swinging by today.
Welcome to Blooming Junction, where it's easy to connect with nature. At Blooming Junction, you'll find beautiful, healthy plants, good, fresh food, and a place to regain peace and calm in your life. We have an unsurpassed collection of unique and distinctive plants and the expertise to help any gardener be successful. And we feature Blooming Advantage plants. Come check out Blooming Junction for an inspiring experience in the garden or in the kitchen. Blooming Junction, offering quality plants for beautiful gardens.
It's time for a plant adventure. Come visit the nurseries of the Cascade Nursery Trail, a collection of independent, specialty nurseries full of wonderful plants that deserve a visit.
come celebrate our 9th annual Jewel Box Plant Sale, August 21st from 9 to 3. All our member nurseries are at Seabright Gardens. It's one day only, so don't miss it.
Start your perfect plant safari at CascadeNurseryTrail.com.
I'm at Blooming Junction this morning with Ron, and you know, Ron, these days we're kind of concerned. We really want to be safe during wildfire season, and we really need to watch about our landscape. And so I know that you've been doing a lot of research about that, and so what are you finding?
Well, you know, I'm finding that one, the best protection is to keep your plants properly cleaned up, especially deciduous shrubs and things like that. Cut out the old wood, your trees and stuff like that. Make sure they're in good shape. And when you do new plantings or decide to change things out, choose plants like we have here that are fire resistant.
Ah, nice.
And fire resistant doesn't necessarily mean that this plant won't burn up in severe fire. It just means it won't act as a fuel source for that fire.
Ah, right. So those are really great tips about that. So there really is a nice selection, and for different kinds of plants for our garden.
Huge selection.
Nice,
yeah.
nice. So let's start over here.
All right, so I chose some of my favorites from the vast lists out there. Some of these are ground covers, which is good to have if you're having plantings up close to your house. We have the vinca, the silver pachysandra, the ajuga. Makes very nice ground cover. Of course, the hens and chicks and the sedums. Ice plant is a really good one for mass plantings, as is the wild strawberry.
And you know, I'm seeing that there's a lot of foliage, and so foliage holds water, so maybe that's part of the idea.
That is right, especially with the fleshy foliage that has the water, the sedums like this one here, this sun sparkler. That'll definitely help prevent them from accelerating.
Excellent. And then we go into some other kind of flowering
plants. Yeah, we got
plants.
this cute little Daydream Armeria here. Keeping with this this theme, we have Virginia, which is nice and fleshy, lots of moisture in here. Your heucheras, your hostas. The yarrow is a really nice one here. I really like this Roseanne geranium. The stackies is very nice plant also. Coreopsis, of course, beautiful all summer long bloomer. And then we have grass and grass-like plants here. We have a nice variegated Japanese iris, the Nephopia, the red hot poker, and the sedges. And the sedges make nice mass plantings also.
Mm-hmm. And really, it's nice to have, I mean, you don't have to have like a bland kind of garden or anything like this. There's a lot of texture, a lot of different kind of plants to make it interesting too.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then we have
even
some
shrubs
and sub-shrubs. The cistus, which is a summer bloomer. You've got your box honeysuckle and the Caryopteris here. This one's particularly pretty with its yellow foliage.
That is nice. And then when the blue flowers come, it's really a nice contrast.
Yeah.
And then a couple bigger shrubs.
We have your red twig dogwood here.
Nice.
Makes a nice taller shrub.
Winter interest.
And ironically, we have burning bush, the Euonymus salata compacta.
It is kind of funny.
It is. It is, considering the topic, but what a beautiful plant in the fall.
Ron, this really is a great selection of plants, and you know, it's not just about cleaning up, make sure you get all that dry debris out from around your house, but it's about planting smartly and choosing the plants smartly. So really, come out to Blooming Junction, look for the Blooming Advantage plants, and also go to the Garden Time website to find out how to get out here. Ron, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Garden Time is brought to you by Portland Nursery, a passion for plants, a nursery for plant people.
At Portland Nursery, we believe that gardening is a creative endeavor that enriches our experience, enlivens the spaces around us, and provides a safe haven for the mind. Portland Nursery has everything you need to make your space feel unique, inviting, and exciting. From houseplants and hedges to trees, tools, veggies, and herbs, Our selection is always growing and changing, just like you. Come visit us today at 50th and Stark, 90th and Division.
They're here. Grab yourself a Garden Time face mask and breathe easy. These masks are one size fit all with elastic straps that hold them securely in place. The nose piece can be shaped to your nose so there's less chance of foggy glasses. Plus, they're embroidered with the Garden Time logo. They come in black, charcoal gray, and navy blue. Simply go to gardentime.tv and click on the store. Get your face mask and be safe in the garden. Little Baja is your source for a whole lot of terracotta and concrete too. From bird baths and benches to Buddhas, bears, and fountains, plus the exclusive Baja chimney, we have an amazing variety of the finest in terracotta and concrete containers. Come check out our selection of statuary for any garden theme or setting. So for something for the garden, deck, or patio, come see us at Little Baja on East Burnside in Portland. Find us on Facebook too.
Well, it's August. I'm with Jan. Jan, it's time for our tips of the month. So what should we be doing in the garden? Because it's been a long, hot summer.
It has. Well, we're standing in an area that's telling us something. There's a high water table over here and it's shady. So I don't water the lawn in the summer, but it's still green here. That's where the sun hits right here. And so it's fried. But it's not dead. It looks dead. It's not dead. It's dormant. So next spring I'll be mowing this just like anything else. So there's no amount of water you're going to put on this to make it green now. Just let it be dormant, and then in the fall rains will bring it back.
Right. And it's important to say that it's dormant. It's not dead and done.
It's not dead, it's dormant. And like I say, there is not any amount of water right now that will bring it back to a nice green lawn for the rest of the summer.
Yeah, because there's some people that think, say, I can resurrect this, I should throw some fertilizer and some water on it. But that's really not what we should be doing now.
The thing to do now, too, is just to observe your landscape or your containers or whatever it is you have, and just because it's been a warmer summer than we're used to having, some things that you've normally had in sun have been fine may not be. So you might want to, in the fall or at next spring, move them into a little bit more shade than they had before so they don't quite fry quite as much.
Because it's a good time to take some notes and see what's working, what's
right
not.
Now, too, a lot of people have rhododendrons that don't look very good. I have a native in the front yard that really needs water. I'm going to water it more today because it's droopy, and I may lose it in the next batch of heat. So what I want it to do is go into the winter not stressed.
Yeah, because I have things in my yard that I don't ever water because they've been established for a long
time.
time. But
exactly.
But they're suffering this year.
Yes, they are.
So they do need to be careful to watch those and make sure we do some supplementation.
And if you've succumbed, like I have, to many of the perennial sales that are on in garden centers and nurseries, don't come home and plant them because you'll have a hard time keeping them going. The best thing to do is to group them and keep them watered and healthy, and then in the fall when the rains come, you can put them where you want them.
Good. Which are all good tips.
Exactly.
And then there's also some things that we could be doing in our vegetable gardens, from our early spring things that are time to do now.
Right.
Too.
Well, you can do a lot of planting for fall and winter gardens. I'm going to plant some bush beans today, and I have carrots and beets and some other things that have some leftover seed, and I'm just going to put it in and hope for the best.
Right. And there's some cole crop things that are
absolutely all the cole crops, cabbage, kale, broccoli, whatever you want to do. And then also the other thing I'm going to do is this time of year you always trim your not ever-bearing but your June-bearing strawberries, trim them clear down to the crown and fertilize, water them, and then they'll set a bunch of berries for next year because that's what it's going to set in the crown.
Okay, so it's doing that now.
Right, so you might as well cut all that foliage off and just let it come back.
Because if we wait till fall to do that, are we cutting off next year's berries?
Yeah, I think you're going to at least reduce them.
And speaking of trying to get everything watered and hydrated after all of this heat, you have some tips on actually how to do that so we make sure that plants are actually getting the water.
Well, we recommend mulch to retain moisture in the soil, but depends on how much mulch you have on and where you have it. And this is something that seems like a simple thing to do, but water first, like you always do, thinking it's enough, and then dig around the root zones of the plants and find out how much water it actually got. If you've got a lot of mulch on, you may have only wet the mulch and not the root zone of the plant.
Right, because when your roots are down this far and you're only soaking it into the mulch, you're not getting
and
it where
so
it
if
needs.
you're having an issue with getting that water down, scratch around the root zone of the plant so that it doesn't make a surface the water runs off of, so that when you do water, it'll penetrate the soil. Or if you've got a lot of mulch, pull it away from the root zone and then water.
Make sure that water gets all the way down.
Right.
You know, and Judy and I were out in the garden earlier, which picking or may not have gotten some apples.
Yes.
But it is harvest time. So
Yeah.
what do we need to know about, you know, harvesting? You know, apples and pears are coming up.
Well, right now, when the apples start to drop, that means they're ready to pick. And mine in like 3 days dropped almost the whole tree worth because of the heat.
Yeah.
So they're perfectly good. Pears, what you do is you cup the pear, especially Bartlett's work this way, cup the pear and pull up on it and make that stem go horizontal.
Okay.
And if it snaps off, it's ready. And then pick it and then store it, or in a cool, dark place. Because if you leave them on the tree to wait till you think they're ripe, they're going to be grainy.
Yeah, they get that kind
not
of
as
mealy kind of taste.
yeah, not as good. So that's when to pick pears. Lots of the other fruits, the plums and things, are pretty much done. The figs are pretty much done now.
Yeah.
Between the birds at the top and people at the bottom, they're pretty much gone.
Yeah. So, you know, Jan, there's always plenty to do in our garden, you know, depending on you know, there's always something going on, even though it's the middle of summer. So we appreciate all of the tips. And where are some good places to go to get some more information?
Well, there's the OSU website to ask the experts. There's the OSU publications where you can go online and read or print out publications on fall vegetable gardening or picking fruit or pruning fruit trees or whatever. So there's a lot of information that you can get.
You know, and you can always go to the gardentime.tv website. We'll click you over to some of those great links. So, Jan, it's always a pleasure to be out in the garden with you, and we are looking forward to having some of those apples.
There you
so
are.
We
You
appreciate
gonna bring me a pie?
We'll talk. So thanks for the information, Jan. We look forward to being out in the garden and staying cool and protecting our plants.
Right.
Garden Time is brought to you by Capital Subaru, your way on the Parkway.
Welcome to your all-new Capital Subaru. Let me show you around. Our showroom is bigger and brighter than ever before. Same great Subarus, same great people. It's an entirely new experience. You're going to love the new space. We've tripled our service department to get you in and out quickly. It's a game changer. We also have an amazing new dog park and some great unique spaces to check out. It's time to discover again.
The new Capital Subaru. Your way on the Parkway.
Is your garden getting tired? Don't let your garden fizzle out because of the summer heat. Stop by Wavra Farms for a refresher in summer color. We carry a great selection of plants that love the summer. Give your garden the splash of color that it deserves. Your outdoor entertaining will be more enjoyable when you are surrounded by beautiful plants, wonderful flowers, and great fragrance. Let us show you what a summer garden should be. Wavra Farms, just east of Salem, off Highway 22 at the Joseph Street exit.
Ryan, you need to brush up your look. Ryan, that is better.
It's always better when you show off your Garden Time pride.
Check out the Garden Time store on our webpage for a great selection of Garden Time gifts and apparel. Choose a hoodie, shirt, hat, bag, or mask for yourself or as a gift for the Garden Time fan in your life. See the complete selection on the Garden Time website.
Pick up some Garden Time gear and show your Garden Time pride.
I'm at Schreiner's Iris Gardens with Ben Schreiner. And so Ben, here it is in August, and we're talking about iris when we're usually here in the spring. So what's different about what we're talking about today?
So the iris today we're talking about are reblooming iris.
Ooh.
So these ones are going to be ones that bloom in May, and then they rebloom again in summer, July into August.
So they're specific ones. It's not any one that's going to do that.
Correct. These ones are bred specifically to have that second bloom cycle.
And what are these names real quick?
So this one is Cantina.
Beautiful.
The blue one here, this is Tillamook Bay. This is a 2021 Shriner introduction. And then this yellow is Oregon Firestorm, another 2021 Shriner introduction.
Oh, wonderful. So if I get these, what do I have to do different? Do I have to do anything different to get them to have that second bloom?
It's, it's going to be dependent on kind of climate and weather, but things that could help you get that second bloom cycle would be to dig and divide more often. So every 2 to 3 years instead of every 3 to 5 years. Keep them watered through the summer. And then you could also apply a fertilizer about a month after their spring bloom. So you want to do things that kind of help them accelerate their growth.
And then usually about this time of year that they'll have that second bloom. Is there kind of a time frame?
They kind of range generally from like early July. So these ones here started reblooming for us early July. And they'll go into August, and some even go all the way to first frost in fall.
And then going onto your website or in your catalog, is there like a specific section that I order those from?
Yeah, in the catalog there's a banner that says rebloom, and then on the website you can search by rebloomers.
So Ben, so if I don't have these reblooming iris, what should I be doing to the iris that I've had that bloomed in May?
So the iris are pretty easy care in the summer. You don't really need to do a whole lot. You want to make sure they're not getting overwatered. They don't like wet feet. Any dried or foliage you can clip back, pull out. This would also be the time to dig and divide if you'd like. So that's pretty much it for now. You want to make sure that you leave the foliage long right now. You don't want to trim it back. You do that in the fall because they feed off the foliage in the summer.
So you want to re-energize those tubers.
Correct, yeah, exactly.
So really, not too much care, but man, do you get a beautiful show.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so out here at the farm, at the gardens, I'm seeing that there's lots of activity. So what's going on now?
We're trying to ship out orders as fast as we can right now.
And can I still put orders in? Is there still time?
Absolutely. Order cutoff date is early September.
So that is so great. Really, iris in the garden in the springtime is amazing, but what about having them in the summer? So please go to gardentime.tv. We'll click over to the Shriner Iris Gardens website, and you can kind of see where you can get them, that you can get them now and get them in the garden. Thanks so much, Ben.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for watching Garden Time today, and we hope everyone is surviving the heat well. And don't forget to keep your plants and yourself well hydrated.
For more information on today's show or any of our other episodes, go to gardentime.tv. Judy and I thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week on Garden Time.
The proceeding was a paid program of the Guston Creative Group and its sponsors.